Outsmarting anyone doesn't require a higher IQ, more experience, or even louder opinions. It begins with something far more subtle, far more powerful: silence. Not the kind of silence that is passive or weak, but the kind that is intentional, piercing, and strategic. The kind of silence that disarms, that confuses, that forces others to expose themselves while you reveal nothing. Outsmarting begins when you stop reacting to the world and start observing it with absolute clarity. In a world where everyone is in a rush to be seen, to speak, to prove their worth, the one who listens holds the key to control. While others chase attention, the strategic mind collects information. And information is power. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. More often than not, it is the silent presence who holds the highest leverage. Because when your words are few but calculated, every sentence strikes with precision. When you observe more than you speak, you understand more than they can ever imagine. Silence allows you to see what others miss. It gives you the ability to notice what is not being said, to analyze body language, to read hesitation, to interpret tone. Silence creates space. Space for your opponent to grow overconfident, to reveal their strategy, to show their weakness. And while they try to impress, to argue, to dominate through noise, your silence grows louder. Your stillness becomes threatening, because nothing is more unnerving than someone who is unfazed, unreadable, unshaken. Outsmarting begins when you refuse to be predictable. The moment you react emotionally, you hand over your strategy. The moment you rush to respond, you expose your thinking. But when you choose silence, when you delay your response, you take back the power. People fear what they can't understand. They feel unsettled by those who don't mirror their emotions. And in that discomfort, they make mistakes. Outsmarting others means becoming the master of your emotions, not a victim of their manipulation. Dominance isn't declared, it's recognized. And those who truly hold power never have to prove it. The sharpest minds don't rush to challenge everyone. They don't argue to be right. They observe. They calculate. They play the long game. Outsmarting is about strategic control. It's about psychological edge. It's about understanding that power doesn't come from domination. It comes from anticipation. And when your silence is more strategic than their words, you're already in control. To outsmart someone, you don't need to be faster, louder, or even stronger. You just need to think deeper. You need to listen with intent. You need to let others expose their patterns while you remain an enigma. People reveal who they are when they believe you aren't watching closely. They show their intentions when they think you're not a threat. So stay silent. Let them underestimate you. Let them grow comfortable. And when the time is right, make the move they never saw coming. Intelligence is not always about knowledge. It's about awareness. Outsmarting others begins when you stop playing their game and start mastering your own. It starts when you stop defending yourself and start analyzing the battlefield. People who can't control their words will always lose to those who control their silence. Because silence gives you the upper hand in every negotiation, every conflict, every confrontation. It lets others show their hand while you keep yours hidden. That's where the power lies, in the invisible, in what they don't see coming. If you want to win in a world full of noise, stop contributing to it. Let others talk. Let them argue. Let them exhaust themselves trying to prove something. While they react, you prepare. While they defend, you analyze. While they rush, you wait. And when the opportunity comes, you strike. Not with emotion, but with clarity. Not with force, but with accuracy. Outsmarting begins in silence, in stillness, in the unwavering confidence of someone who doesn't need to speak to command the room. And when you learn to harness that kind of energy, when you make silence your first strategy, you won't just win arguments, you'll dominate outcomes. Because the sharpest edge of intelligence is not found in the words you speak. It's found in the thoughts you keep to yourself, the moves you make without warning, and the control you maintain even in chaos. This is where dominance is born, not in reaction, but in calculation, not in noise, but in silence. Outsmarting anyone doesn't begin when you speak. It begins the moment you decide to observe, understand, and act from a position of quiet, focused strength. Mastering the art of outsmarting begins with mastering yourself. And the first battlefield is your emotions. It's not intelligence alone that wins wars. It's emotional discipline. The sharpest mind can be rendered useless if it's ruled by rage, envy, fear, or desperation. Emotions, when unchecked, are the easiest paths to manipulation. When someone else can provoke you, they can control you. And if they can control you, they can predict you. And once you're predictable, you're no longer powerful. Emotional control isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about redirecting them. It's about choosing strategy over impulse. Every reaction you give away is a piece of power handed to someone else. Outsmarting begins the moment you stop reacting from emotion and start responding with intention. When someone tries to push your buttons and you show no shift, you've already won the first round. When the storm comes and you remain still, you've shown strength they didn't expect. People often confuse emotional expression with authenticity. But in the realm of power, it's not about expressing everything. It's about controlling what deserves to be seen. Control doesn't make you cold, it makes you calculated. And calculation is the very root of strategic dominance. To outsmart, you must become unreadable. And to become unreadable, your emotions must be locked behind discipline. Not buried, but owned, sharpened, and deployed only when they serve you, not when they control you. When you allow anger to dictate your response, you're no longer leading the interaction, you're being led. When jealousy creeps in, your vision becomes narrow. When insecurity leaks out, it becomes ammunition for those who want to see you fall. Emotional mastery isn't about building walls. It's about building filters. Filters that allow you to feel deeply but respond wisely. You can't stop people from trying to provoke you, but you can become the kind of mind that cannot be shaken. There is a reason the most composed people are feared. They are hard to read, hard to manipulate, hard to provoke. They aren't ruled by the moment. They own the moment. Their power comes from the fact that they don't flinch, don't crack, don't crumble. They watch while others rage. They breathe while others break. And in that calm, in that discipline, they find the advantage. Emotional control is not a weakness. It's not suppression. It's precision. It's knowing exactly when to release your fire and when to hold it. It's using emotion like a blade, sharp, clean, and purposeful, not like a wildfire that burns everything in its path. You don't need to be unfeeling. You need to be untouchable. That's the difference between reacting and ruling. The ones who rule their emotions rule the game. Outsmarting others begins here, by refusing to be an emotional puppet, by not giving your opponents the satisfaction of knowing they've gotten to you, by not giving anyone a window into your mind through your reactions. Keep them guessing, keep them wondering, make them question why they can't trigger you. And in that space of their uncertainty, you claim control. The world will always test you. People will always try to drag you into emotional battles you cannot win. But if you can remain calm in chaos, if you can think clearly while others scream, if you can maintain your center while others spiral, you will not just win, you will dominate. Because the mind that is anchored in control becomes the most dangerous weapon of all. Outsmarting others is not about being louder, faster, or smarter in the traditional sense. It starts by being emotionally untouchable. If you can own your emotional state, no one else can hijack your mind. And when your mind belongs only to you, your power becomes limitless. If the world knows your next move, they will know exactly how to stop it. That is the fundamental flaw of transparency in a world built on strategy. To outsmart anyone, your intentions must be a mystery. Your path must be cloaked, not in deception, but in deliberate ambiguity. Those who reveal too much too soon surrender their advantage before the game has even begun. The key to strategic dominance is unpredictability. Predictable people are controllable. They can be anticipated, manipulated, and trapped. But the one who keeps their next move hidden holds the most dangerous power, the power of surprise. When others think they've figured you out, when they feel they've read your intentions, they begin to relax. They become overconfident. And that is where their defeat begins. Never broadcast your strategy. Never speak your plans into rooms that don't deserve access to your vision. Let others assume. Let them misjudge. Let them fabricate a version of you based on what they think they see. Your job is not to correct them. Your job is to benefit from their assumptions. Because while they're preparing for the version of you that no longer exists, the real you is already on the move. Silence is a tactic. Discretion is a weapon. When your actions are louder than your announcements, you become a force. While others explain their goals, you achieve yours. While they build anticipation, you build empires. The moment you feel the urge to share your next step, pause. Ask yourself, is this power being given away or is this power being multiplied? Strategy thrives in silence, and silence isn't emptiness, it's control. Those who master secrecy are not hiding, they are preparing. Their strength is not in being known, but in being felt. The impact of a hidden move is always greater than one that was expected. Shock creates leverage. When no one sees you coming, no one has time to resist. Your opponents are most vulnerable when they think they understand you, and your real power comes from the moment they realize they never did. Outsmarting others demands that you stay ahead of them, not just in intelligence, but in intention. If they can track your goals, they can build obstacles. If they can anticipate your responses, they can manipulate your path. But if you stay unreadable, If your steps are masked by misdirection and measured silence, they won't know what to block because they won't know what's coming. Let others chase attention. Let them post their plans, their moves, their desires for the world to see. That's not power, that's vulnerability disguised as confidence. True power doesn't need an audience. True dominance doesn't need validation. The ones who truly rule are the ones whose moves are known only after they've already succeeded. In chess, the quietest piece on the board often has the most devastating potential. Its power isn't declared, it's discovered too late. That's how your mind must operate. Every move calculated, every detail hidden, every step cloaked in deliberate mystery, not because you're afraid to be seen, but because you understand the value of being underestimated. The most powerful people in history weren't those who shouted their intentions from the rooftops. They were the ones who let their victory speak for them. And by the time the world figured out what they were doing, it was already done. To outsmart anyone, guard your plans like treasure. Guard your thoughts like currency. Let your actions arrive before your words ever do. That is how dominance is built. Not in noise, not in exposure, but in strategic concealment. Never reveal your next move. Let your results shock the world into silence. Words are cheap. They are easy to manipulate, easy to disguise, and easy to misuse. People lie with words every day, knowingly or unconsciously. They say what they think you want to hear. They say what sounds good, what feels right in the moment, what buys them time or sympathy or favor. But while their words can fool the ear, their patterns never lie. The truth of a person is not found in what they say. It is found in what they consistently do. To outsmart anyone, you must learn to detach from verbal noise and tune into behavioral rhythm. Every individual moves with patterns, habits, routines, triggers, reactions. These form the invisible blueprint of who they are. While someone may speak of ambition, watch how they spend their time. While they promise loyalty, track how they treat others behind closed doors. While they boast of discipline, examine the consistency of their habits. What they repeat reveals what they value. What they avoid reveals what they fear. And what they prioritize reveals where they are truly going. The mind that seeks dominance does not get distracted by charming language or impressive words. It looks deeper. It pays attention to the gap between intention and execution, between declarations and demonstrations. Anyone can craft a sentence. Few can sustain integrity in their patterns. So don't listen to promises, watch for follow-through. Don't believe apologies, watch for changed behavior. Don't accept confidence, watch how they react under pressure. Inconsistency is the signal. Repetition is the truth. Patterns reveal far more than confessions ever will. When someone lies once, they may fool you. But when someone repeats a behavior, they've exposed a system. And systems, once identified, can be controlled. Outsmarting someone requires you to see what they cannot hide. Words can mask, but patterns are habits dressed in repetition. And when you know someone's habits, you can predict their reactions. You can anticipate their choices, and you can position yourself where they will never expect. This is where strategy lives. Not in reacting to what is said, but in preparing for what is inevitable. It's not about guessing what they might do, it's about knowing what they always do. That's the edge. While others are debating intentions, you are calculating patterns. While they respond to emotion, you respond to evidence. And evidence is everything when your goal is control. Learn to study quietly. Watch how people show up when no one's watching. Pay attention to how they act when the pressure is high, when the stakes are real, when there's nothing to gain. The truth always leaks through behavior. And when you train your eyes to catch the micro details, the hesitation in tone, the delay in decision, the inconsistency in their words versus their actions, you begin to read reality, not narrative. The most powerful strategist isn't the one who speaks the best, but the one who sees the most. Observation is the mother of insight, and insight gives birth to influence. Because when you understand what drives people, what triggers them, what scares them, what motivates them, you're not just responding, you're leading without force. You're predicting without guessing. You're outsmarting without aggression. The world is full of people trying to impress with their words. Let them talk, let them perform, let them craft the perfect version of themselves. But you, the one who studies patterns, will always see through the illusion. You will see the cracks. You will see the cycles. You will see the truth behind the image. And with that truth, you will hold the upper hand. Outsmarting anyone starts with one simple shift. Stop listening to what they say and start watching what they do. Behavior doesn't lie. Patterns don't bend. Study them, master them, and you'll never be caught off guard again. That is the essence of dominance. Not overpowering someone, but understanding them so deeply that they can no longer surprise you. Silence is not weakness. It is not absence. It is not retreat. Silence is strategy. It is the sharpest tool in the hands of the intelligent. In a world where noise dominates and people feel the need to fill every pause, silence has become terrifying. It creates discomfort. It creates uncertainty. It forces people to deal with themselves, to question their assumptions, and to wonder where they truly stand. And that is precisely why silence is a weapon, because it cannot be predicted, controlled, or easily understood. To outsmart anyone, you must know when to speak and when to hold. And when you choose silence with intention, you shift the balance of power. Words can be challenged. Silence cannot. It leaves room for others to expose themselves. While they scramble to interpret your quiet, they reveal their insecurity. They speak more than necessary. They over-explain. They assume. And in those assumptions, they give you what you need: information, leverage, and control. Silence makes people uncomfortable because they expect a reaction. They depend on your validation, your agreement, your resistance. They need you to respond in order to maintain their rhythm. And when you don't, the rhythm breaks. The script collapses. The control flips. You are no longer participating in their plan. You are forcing them into yours. That's how silence dominates. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It simply waits. And in that waiting, it commands. Powerful silence is not passive. It is filled with presence. It's the confidence to sit in stillness while others reach for approval. It's the discipline to hold back when every part of you wants to strike. It's the wisdom to know that words, once released, cannot be taken back. But silence can be sharpened, adjusted, weaponized, without ever being revealed. You can observe, reflect, calculate, all behind a curtain of silence that gives you every advantage. Outsmarting isn't always about what you say. It's often about what you don't say. Let others reveal their cards. Let them speak without filters. Let them drown in their own noise. You, on the other hand, move like a shadow, undetected, unprovoked, unnerving. Your silence should be louder than their arguments. It should be the pause that makes them rethink, the quiet that makes them uncomfortable, the stillness that forces them to second-guess everything they just said. People expose more in silence than in speech. When you go quiet, they begin to talk just to fill the void. And in that flood of words, their truth comes pouring out. Their motives, their fears, their weaknesses, all of it spills in the space you left open. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the amplifier of truth. It allows you to see what's real and filter out what's merely noise. Using silence as a weapon means you refuse to be baited. You no longer respond on demand. You no longer entertain every challenge or every distraction. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every attack deserves a counter. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response. Not because you're defeated, but because you've already won by refusing to play a game designed to trap you. It's easy to speak. It's easy to react. It's easy to defend. But dominance doesn't come from ease. It comes from restraint. From the ability to hold still while others lose control, from the decision to let silence do what noise never could, create pressure without aggression, tension without effort, power without resistance. The sharpest minds in the world have one thing in common: they are not afraid of silence. They use it to study, they use it to command, they use it to dismantle egos without uttering a single word. If you want to outsmart anyone, start with silence. Train yourself to be still in the storm. Let your silence speak volumes. Let it echo louder than their noise. And when you do speak, make every word cut with precision. Dominance doesn't always enter with sound. Sometimes it enters with a presence so silent, so focused, so powerful that no one dares to break it. That is what silence becomes when it is no longer emptiness, but power held in perfect control. The average mind chases what feels good now. The powerful mind designs what will last later. Outsmarting anyone requires a mind that plays beyond the moment, a mind that sees the endgame before the first move is made. It's not about who reacts the fastest. It's about who thinks the furthest. The difference between dominance and defeat often lies in vision. One is looking at the battle. The other is playing to win the war. To outsmart others, you must develop the discipline to think long-term. But here's the key. Thinking long-term does not mean waiting forever. It means moving with intent in the short term. Every step today must serve a greater purpose tomorrow. Every decision now must feed into a calculated design for later. Acting without vision is noise. Thinking without execution is fantasy. True power lies in the fusion of both, a long-term mindset paired with short-term action. This is the trait of the strategist. While others get distracted by instant results, You stay focused on outcomes that compound. You don't chase recognition, you build foundations. You don't chase applause, you create momentum. And while they're obsessing over speed, you're perfecting precision. Speed fades, precision builds. Those who cannot delay gratification can never win at the highest levels. Because true dominance demands patience. It demands that you resist the temptation to settle for what's easy when what's excellent is within reach. It demands that you stop trying to win every argument and start preparing to win every outcome. That you stop trying to look powerful and start becoming powerful. Quietly, strategically, relentlessly. The short-term thinker wants attention. The long-term thinker builds authority. The short-term thinker wants to be seen. The long-term thinker prepares to be remembered. Outsmarting someone is rarely about making the bigger move. It's about making the smarter move, the one that looks insignificant now but becomes unstoppable later. Think about that before you respond. Think about that before you show your hand. Sometimes the greatest move is to do nothing in the moment, because your focus is locked on the bigger picture. If you are constantly reacting, you are being controlled. If you are constantly chasing, you are always behind. The one who wins is the one who moves with foresight. The one who acts now, not for now, but for what comes after. Every conversation, every connection, every decision is a piece of the board, and those who understand the board can guide the game. But here's where the elite separate themselves. They don't just think long-term, they act short-term. They execute daily. They don't get paralyzed by the vision, they get fueled by it. They don't fantasize about 5 years from now, they build the next 5 minutes with intent. Dominance is not born in ideas, it is born in execution. You must act now and act often, but act in service of something greater than the moment, something crafted, something deliberate. The enemy of long-term thinking is emotion. Impulse wants you to win now. Ego wants to respond now. Fear wants relief now. But your power comes when you silence those voices and stay locked into a strategy that sees through them. Let others fall for short-term validation. Let them waste energy trying to look ahead while tripping over today. You, on the other hand, walk with accuracy. You understand that every step today either takes you closer to power or distracts you from it. Outsmarting isn't a single decision. It's the compound interest of every choice made with vision. It's seeing what others miss because they're too busy reacting. It's building in silence while others are chasing noise. The one who sees the furthest controls the field. The one who builds with patience wins without force. And the one who balances long-term strategy with short-term execution becomes unstoppable. So remember this. Think long. Act now. Think deep. Move sharp. While others burn out trying to sprint to nowhere, you'll walk with purpose to power.